You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javanokelo, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you so much for joining me for another incredible conversation here in the African Father in America podcast. I am really privileged to be here with a wonderful friend and an incredible leader, Leila Talks, who is an activist, who is implementing, large-scale strategic initiatives as a business advisor to Fortune 500 companies, and is also doing a lot of work in the Virginia grassroots politics, and also impacting the world, especially Ethiopia, through her popular Leila Talks YouTube channel. And so today we are going to hear a lot about the impact that Leila is having in the world. Leila, go ahead and say hi before we begin the show.
Hello, my African brothers and sisters and friends. I'm so excited to be here. Simon is one of my favorite people who is an advocate for Pan-Africanism, so I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you again, Leila. I'm just so deeply grateful that you're here. And today we are going to start our conversation with an amazing proverb. Today's proverb is actually from Ghana, from the Ashanti community, and it says that it's a bad child who doesn't take advice. It's a bad child who doesn't take advice. So I have 3 nuggets of wisdom related to this proverb that I want us to explore briefly. I want to share, and then I want Leila to share with us her own perspective, explore what this proverb means, to you, Leila. So the first nugget of wisdom, again, for those who are just joining us, the first nugget of wisdom related to this proverb, the proverb says it's a bad child who doesn't take advice. Now, the first nugget of wisdom says that seek out helpful advice. It's on you to seek advice. Advice will never come to you. It's on you to seek wisdom. Wisdom will never come to you. Number 2, listen to experienced people. Actually, that's part of why I love being here with you, Leila, today, because a lot of the work you've done, I also want to be around. You want to be around the village fire when you're talking about your work, so that I can learn, because I know that that's going to influence how I grow a lot of the initiatives and the projects that I do. And also the last nugget of wisdom says that receiving mentorship is invaluable. A lot of us, especially Africans, whether we are back home or in the diaspora, we rarely seek out mentorship unless we're in a corporate setting, unless it's informal. We don't intentionally seek out mentorship in a way that we consistently meet our mentor, whether it's once a week, whether it's once a month, even once a year. But we intentionally know that, for example, Leila is my mentor, and it's because of this and this. So those are some of the 3 nuggets I wanted you to just note down. But now I want to come to you, Leila. One of the things I love to do is to ask my guests to share their own interpretation of the proverb. But before I do that, I just want you to take a moment and really properly introduce yourself, because I feel that you've accomplished so much, and the introduction I gave is just is just not enough. So share a little bit about yourself, and then share what this proverb means to you as we continue on with the show. Thank you so much.
Okay, sure, Simon. I mean, you pretty much summed it up. So my background is in consulting, but my passion is my people, doing a lot of advocacy, activism, and humanitarian work specifically for Ethiopian and Eritreans. But I'm also a big proponent of us working together. So that's why Simon and I, we knew each other on Clubhouse, because we wanted to create spaces, create conversations where we can build synergy for the continent. I'm working on my PhD. I'm towards the tail end of it. So I'm very excited. That's in entrepreneurship. I have a couple of real estate projects, and Leela Talks is a YouTube channel. It kind of was birthed during COVID, and from there I'm on Instagram and Twitter. So all my handles are Leela Talks, and I'm just about empowering people. We have so many things within us, our talents, our skills, and sometimes people don't have the confidence to tap into that. Even advocacy work, right? People think, oh, you have to have a lot of money, or you have to, know a lot of people. But I always try to, emphasize you can do so much for the people that are surrounding you, that touch you. So
wonderful.
Yeah.
If you are joining us on YouTube, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and leave us with your comment down there. Let us know what you think so far in regards to my conversation with the incredible Leela. And also, if you're on Clubhouse, make sure you share the link to the room, and just share in the comment as well, how you feel about this conversation that we're having here with Leela. Now, Leela, I think we were able to send you the proverb for the day earlier before our time together. And again, the proverb says that it's only a bad child that doesn't take advice. It's only a bad child who doesn't take advice. I wanted to just say a little something here before you explore it further, is that this proverb, in fact, as we were preparing for the show, before we went live, you and I were just talking, and I was saying that this proverb is really befitting with someone like you, who is always at the forefront of bringing issues in Africa to the global stage. And a lot of African leaders don't listen to advice. And I think I want you to take it from here.
Yeah, so this is a proverb, so it's all about your own interpretation. So I know back home, back in the day, we used to say bad children, bad this, but the way when I read it, and what resonated with me is that we're all God's children, right? So it's not just a child as a young person, which it is, it could be reflected, but I think it's also individuals, as a child of God, a person where we're supposed to help others, we're supposed to be open, be humble. I think whether it's leaders, whether it's individuals, unfortunately, it's our culture to have this ego, this pride, and the sense of arrogance of I know everything. And that really, really can get you in trouble, whether it's the Western world, Eastern world, wherever you are. And so seeking advice to the right people, right, and different people is knowledge, having a level of diversity, even seeking knowledge from younger people. I'll talk about my childhood story in a bit. But being exposed in different places really increased my life. So you can get mentorship, you can get knowledge everywhere. It doesn't have to be this hierarchical thing where someone's like above you. It's something or some piece of their aspect of their life that resonates with you. And so for me, when we talk about, a bad child is, a child who doesn't, receive advice. I think it's all of us seeking us as our inner child. Right? Because if you think about whether it's romantic relationships, professional relationships, a lot of the struggles people have is that inner child that we haven't settled with. And so seeking out emotional vulnerability or seeking out knowledge in certain areas, I think can help people grow to be more impactful in this world. So that was my take.
Yeah, I love it. I agree with it 100%. And I want to continue building on to our conversation, but first I want to just recognize a couple of people who helped make this show possible. Of course, Lavender, who is here with me, Cabs, who is on Clubhouse, and Steven, who is also on Clubhouse, and Kesiwa, who is an amazing and consistent supporter of the show, and Roger, who is joining us from Singapore, and Brother Rushi, who is also joining us, I think, from North Carolina. Thank you so much. I have my daughter, my second born, Atieno, who is also joining us. She's just listening in. She's very interested in podcasting. She's 6 years old, but she decided to wake up early and be a part of this show. So thank you for joining us. Now, Leela, one of the questions I love asking my guests is to explore with us a childhood story that inspired the work you do today. This is because my own story is related to when I was around 8 years old, my mother gave me a bicycle, and I began distributing milk and bread in our neighborhood, and that really formed the beginning of my adulthood, and the beginning of me learning leadership and really entrepreneurship, and how to live with people, how to build community, how to mobilize, and I love asking my guests this question, because all of us started from somewhere. All of us have a story of how our journey began, and a lot of where our journey began also influences how we impact the world today. So I want you to share with us, a story from many, many years ago.
Yeah, it's actually quite relevant to today's conversation. So I'm going to tell you a story of the first time I visited Africa, specifically Ethiopia. Mind you, I was born and raised in America, so give me grace when I tell you this story. So typical spoiled kid, wants their TV, wants their Game Boy. That was kind of my universe at 10 years old. And so my mom decides, let's go to Ethiopia. We were there for a month. We went to different places. And this was around, I'm close to 40 now, so this was in the 90s, right? So there was, a lot of poverty there, in your face. Now, if you go there, you'll see it. You're like, okay, it's normal. But then it was quite alarming, where as soon as you drive your car, you stop. People will swarm your car begging in Amharic, and I don't speak the language. So it was a very moving time. And I think that whole month that I was there, to see so many people suffering and children suffering, and little things I would say to my mom, like, oh, Mom, how come they're ashy? How come they don't have lotion? She's like, they can't afford that. So things that are luxury to us, you wouldn't even think about it as a child. I saw how scarce that is, and people are looking for food, and so it really, really stuck with me. So that year, for Christmas, how people give you money and things. I saved all my money. It was probably like $300 from everyone, and I gave it away. I said, Mom, give this to the children. There was like a church that was working with kids there. Give this away and make sure that they're okay. They have clothes and stuff. And I think that was a sense of, I feel giving, whether your talent, your money, is a sense of appreciating your gratitude. And so that was the first time that I had empathy and sympathy for someone else's experiences. And I think the children just really touched me. And so that just put, planted a little seed in me, right? Just that exposure at 10 to be where I am today with all the different things I've done. So yeah, that was a pretty moving experience.
Yeah, I love that. And I actually want to just add a follow-up question here. You are recently in Ethiopia, and you are also there for a month, similar to how you did when you were younger. How was the experience? Share with us, a little how your experience this time was.
Oh my goodness. Well, I've been there 2 times prior to that first time, total of 4. So I was just there in last December, and it's Addis Ababa is the capital. It's a buzzing city. Like certain parts, you're like, wow, where am I? Right. And it's very beautiful, and it has all these luxury spas. But I also always try to tap into the locals. And so taking the bus, walking around. And there is also a severe poverty in pockets, behind this beauty and all this, glory. There's still a lot of suffering. So I think you have to kind of not go into those communities, but you really have to keep your mind open, because you could just be in your car driving around. But it was wonderful to visit a lot of family members. Previously, I didn't have family there, but now I had a lot of family who are from America, who, let's say, have been here for 20 years, and they're going back. They're starting businesses and that's very exciting. That's, as far as I'm interested in entrepreneurship. So to see women taking charge, men taking charge, and also giving knowledge back to their community, I think is really inspiring. I always feel like, oh, maybe I need to go back and do something. So that's kind of been my experience there, spending time with family, seeing the country flourish. But there's also a lot of pain, and I think we'll probably get into it a little bit, but there was a civil war, still kind of wrestling with the peace deal. And I went to a city called Debre Berhan, about 2.5 hours away from Addis, and it's an internally displaced people's camp. So people have come from other regions, and so I can talk a little bit more I know we have so much to say, but I'll kind of stop there.
Yeah, I just love I love your storytelling, skills and just your passion, the way you talk about Africa, the way you talk about Ethiopia, it just shows how you love the motherland. And I want us to just go now deep into the work that you do here in the US, especially in Washington DC, where you've done so much. You've done so much, and I want you to share with us a couple of maybe 3 or 4 things that really make you proud right now. When you look back over the last 10 years, what are some of the maybe 3 things? Just focus on 3 areas that you're really, really proud of, that you want everybody who is listening to not only listen but plug in, so that at the end of the show, I want you to also share with us where we can go in order to be more plugged in, and how we can also stay connected with you. But before you respond to this, I just want to say thank you to everyone who is watching on YouTube, and thank you to everybody who is listening in on Clubhouse. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and comment below. And if you are on Clubhouse, make sure you also share the link to the room and let us know in the chat what you think about this conversation so far. Okay, Lila, carry on, please.
Yeah, so I was raised in Virginia all my life, and so after Trump went to office in 2017, I was very passionate about women's rights and race equality. So I created a group called the Arlington Huddle Action Network, and we helped identify underrepresented communities to basically become public officials. So helping them canvass, helping them fundraise. And so I really fell into that pretty deeply. But I've always had a humanitarian heart for Ethiopia. Going back, there was an organization called Artists for Charity. It's actually quite a creative concept where different people would have art, they would donate to the charity, and all the proceeds that we would raise on an annual holiday benefit would be sent to an orphanage that this woman created for children who are double orphans, no living parents, and they have HIV or AIDS. And so I was involved in that pretty extensively for 8 years. And I also created a LA chapter. So my fondest, I think, moment of being proud of myself was diving in. I'm not an artist. I never, managed volunteers and created this branch, and we raised $40,000 in one night, and it was the most that this organization has had, and it was to help them be sustainable. So I've always had a heart for, people of color in America, Pan-Africanism, as well as Ethiopians and Eritreans. And, circling back there was a war that broke out, a civil war between the old regime and the current administration in Ethiopia. And there were a lot of heavy sanctions that were at play, like AGOA, which is basically the agricultural growth of Africa, for us to be able to do the clothing from H&M and having things be developed. And that was a huge hit to Ethiopia. So I did a lot of advocacy work with the State Department on the Hill, speaking on behalf of Ethiopian and Americans about some of these bills that were a little bit harmful to many people, especially women, because the majority of the workers in these factories are women. So my soft spot is women and children. And last year, I went to Ethiopia in January. I went to 3 towns: Ataya, Debre Birhan, and Shobrobit. These were areas that were affected by the war. And I interviewed people. I interviewed just women who were allowed me to share their story. And I had a documentary that I developed called, it was basically the rape victims of TPLF. There's unfortunately, just like many places in Africa, rape is used as a weapon of war, and it's so monstrous and so hurtful because we're all brothers and sisters. These are just innocent people. So I did that last year. And so this year, when I went to Ethiopia, I went to the IDP camp, as I mentioned earlier, which is internally displaced people. So, refugees are people who leave the country, but these are people who left their particular regions for whether it's war, whether it's ethnic cleansing, whether it's drought. There's so many different, reasons. And so when I went to this camp, and in this one city, they have 2 camps. One has 17,000, the other one has 13,000. So a total of 30,000 people in one concentrated area, and an overwhelmingly amount of people are women. And there were about 1,500 orphan children that I met. And so I have videos, and I'm working on it. I just got back, and I'll have it on my YouTube channel. So please check out Leela Talks and subscribe so you can see when it comes up. But just the same feeling I felt when I was 10 years old and I was so shocked by what I witnessed, even more so. I mean, this is something that has haunted me every day since I've been there. These kids, them looking in your eyes, looking for guidance. And they're looking for food, but they also want your love. They want your attention. They want your hug. They have no one. Unfortunately, USAID provides medical supplies, and UNICEF provides like general supplies like book bags and tents, but foods is largely based off of individual donations. I believe the government gives, some amount, but it's not enough to support everyone. So this really, really struck me. And I think in my community, at least, a lot of times when something bad happens, people are really focused on the blaming, who to blame, who did this, and they go like this, blame. And guess what? The people who are impacted the most are left behind. No one's feeding them. No one's saying, how can we transition you to a better life? And it goes back to the question you said, Simon, about the bad child and bad advice or not taking advice. It's like, if you think you know everything, or you think you know what's best, and you're not willing to seek advice from others, you can't help the people that you so-called advocate for. And so I was really struck by that. I said, you know what? It's going to take humanity to save our people. We can't look at any external government entities or even our own sometimes to do what's best for our people. And so I said, let me create this sharing website. It just shares information. It's called The Humanity, right? Humanity. This is a humanity issue. Network, a network of people, a network of kind-hearted people who have integrity, transparency, and respect for Ethiopians. It could be for anyone, but this is the group that I'm focusing on. So the website's called humanityforethiopia.com. And this is just a place of organizations. Like, let's say, Simon, if you have an organization, I know you very well, I trust you, you have transparency, then I would have someone like you on my website. I'm not collecting any money. I'm just sharing to say, if you want to help, these are the ways. I'm kind of connecting the donators with the people who can get the work done. So as you can tell, I'm very, very passionate about this. I want to bring more awareness. A lot of people aren't even aware. I think the U.S. media tends to focus on what they perceive as their strongest allies, which is Ukraine. And what's happening in Russia and Ukraine is devastating. It is very sad. But Ukrainians are also getting a lot of help, not just from the U.S., but also Europeans. What about their African allies, especially in the Horn of Africa, which is a very strategic place for them to support? So U.S. has been very involved and influential in the peace deal, and they have helped in different ways. I just need them to step up a little bit and really focus on the people. So I'll stop there if there's any questions, but that's kind of what I've been working on and what I've been doing.
I love everything you do, and I hope everyone is listening in and engaging, whether it's on YouTube or Clubhouse. I realize that on Clubhouse we might not be getting the audio clearly today, so I just want to take a moment and I want to check in with you, Cabs. How are you doing, and how is the conversation with Leela going for you so far? And also, what are your perspectives on this proverb? I want to hear your voice in just for a second, and then I want to go over a few people on the stage, Leela, and just note some of their comments and their feedback in regards to our conversation, and then come back and reflect on it. And then I want us to continue on, where you can also share with us the website again, and how we can stay connected with you, how we can support your work. And I feel that what you do needs time, and I feel that we need to look into doing even a series of conversations, because it's interesting. You say the US and the international community, the Western world, is really not paying attention to Africa. They're looking for quick fixes, but when it comes to Ukraine, it's different. It's different. And even how African immigrants were treated in Ukraine is not the way Europeans are being treated in Africa. We open our doors and we lay the best carpets for our European friends, and our American friends, but when it comes to even immigrants here in the US, the way we are treated is not humane, so we just need to we just need to discuss these things the way they are. But I want to come to you, Cabs, real quick, so that we hear from you, and then we'll come back to you, Leila, in a moment.
With what we have been talking about recently. In fact, yesterday we were talking about sitting around the fire, listening to our elders. And I think this proverb really ties on back to that. There's so much rich wealth of knowledge that's available. What's replacing our elders is the social media. And I think that is really causing a lot of challenges, because it's causing a challenge around leadership, around losing wisdom. So very wonderful proverb. Leila, good to meet you. I heard some of what you're saying, and I think it's fantastic what you're doing in Ethiopia. And I heard how you were inspired going back when you were 10 years old and wanting to do something, and the seeds were planted then, and continuing to do the work that you're doing. So thank you so much for your share.
Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Leila, and thank you, Cabs. I believe the audio issue is fixed now. Cabs, can you just confirm?
Leila, can we hear you? Can you say something?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
I heard everything. I heard everything that the last participant shared. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for your remarks. Yeah.
Me too, me too. Excellent. Okay, we'll continue on. I want to hear from you, Stephen. Stephen, share with us where you're joining us from. What are your thoughts in regards to the conversation we are having with Leila today, and also your comments on the proverb real quick. Thank you so much.
Hi, Simon. Everyone. I'm Steven, joining from Kisumu, Kenya. Wasn't able to grasp everything that you are sharing with Leila, but I liked what Leila shared at the beginning of our conversation, experience, and the activism work that she does. Concerning the proverb, relate it to that goes, asiyefunzwa na mamake hufunzwa na ulimwengu. And there's another one also that goes, my understanding is that it's important for us to take caution and do according to what advices we are given. There's a say that goes that what an elder can see seated, a young man can't see even while standing. So it's always important to listen to the elders and to listen to the cautions and warnings that we are being given. Maybe the directions that we are being led to will be life-saving. So that's my take for today's program. Thank you, Simon.
Excellent. Thank you, Stephen, for taking your time and joining us from Kisumu, Kenya. I deeply appreciate you. Stella, how are you doing? Where are you joining us from? And what are your thoughts in regards to my conversation with Leila Talks and also the proverb? Thank you so much. Stella is unable to join us at the moment, so we'll move on to Brother Earth. How are you? Where are you joining us from? And what are your perspectives on today's proverb?
Peace and love, family. It's Brother Earth from the North Carolina territory. And I hate that I missed the conversation between you and Layla. It sounded like it was going in a beautiful direction. And, congratulations and kudos to her for all she's doing. But when I hear the proverb, what it makes me think of, I used to hear my grandma say things like, you know, they too smart for good advice. You know what I mean? When somebody was just in the mindset of doing things that way, not being able to listen, she also used to say, you know, a hard head make a soft behind. And you know, of course, you're gonna have a soft behind because you know, constantly get whipping. You know, understanding that we don't know everything, and there's always room for growth and improvement. It's good to be able to hear console or listen from to wisdom from someone who has been there or has the experience. But for whatever reason, sometimes our ego or you know what have you get in the way, and we're not able to receive advice, and oftentimes it end up hurting us in the long run. And I park my plane right there, brother. Earth. Peace and love, family.
Peace and love to you, Brother Earth. I love what you just said. But I'll let Lila comment on everything that you're all sharing in just a moment. I want to continue on by inviting, I see Taban is on the stage. So I'll go to Taban, Lisa, then Lavender is going to be our last contributor on the stage. So Taban, thank you for joining us. Share with us where you're joining us from and also what today's proverb means to you. If you have any comments to our special guest, feel free to share as well.
Thank you, Simon. My name is Taban. I'm listening from Kenya, Kisumu, specifically Manyata. In relation to today's proverb, it is a bad child who doesn't take advice seriously. In regard, what I would like to say is, you see, there's another proverb that says, "Old is gold," and whoever who gives advice has seen what life has. So a bad child cannot take the advice because he has not seen the light. It is some of these are warning. If a child cannot listen to the good advice that is being given, personally I would advise that he feels what he wants to feel ahead. As my brother Steve had said earlier on, there's a Swahili proverb that says, "Mtoto akililia wembe mpe." In regard, what I would like to say is that this proverb, they go hand in hand. It also depicts that some of the ways.
Oh, we lost Taban there. For those who are meeting Taban for the first time, Taban is actually one of my team members at One Vibe in Kenya, and Taban is also a beneficiary of the programs that we do in Kenya. And after going through our training programs, he's now one of the people who are employed by One Vibe in Kenya. So I'm very, very proud of you, and I'm very, very proud of the work that the whole team is doing. I want to go on to Lisa now. Lisa, how are you? Thank you for taking the time to join us for the show this morning. What are your thoughts in regards to today's proverb and conversation with Lila Talks?
Yeah, like the other guy said, we were told that I can remember what he mentioned. It's a little early where I am. I would just say the same, like he said, soft, but a hard head makes a soft behind. That's like an American thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's basically all I have to say right now.
Yeah,
but
that's
I'm
great.
learning other proverbs. My how would I put it? There was a gentleman that I worked for 6 years, not knowing that he knew my uncle. He came here in the 60s, late 60s. He was from Nigeria. And I found out later that his daughter is my cousin. And in the 70s, my uncle knew him, and that's how he met his mother, like his child's mother. So I'm learning.
Right. We all are learning. I just want to comment here. Brother Rushi is unable to join us on the stage. He's actually watching on YouTube, and he sent a really beautiful comment where he's saying that a bad child who doesn't take advice grows into a stubborn adult. I love that. Lavender.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Lavender.
And what is the YouTube channel? Because I want to join your YouTube page.
It's right at the top of the clubhouse room. If you see the link at the top,
okay.
yeah, if you click that,
Okay, I see it.
you'll see my handsome face and the beautiful face of my guest. I have to praise myself. Not enough people praise me, you know.
And what country are you from?
I am from Kenya, you know. I'm from Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a beautiful place.
Yes. I was speaking with a gentleman last night from Kenya, and I told him that I didn't know Swahili, but there was a song by Miriam Makeba. It was Pole Muze.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Pole mzee means sorry, old man. Yeah.
I
Anyway,
didn't know what it was, but I
yeah.
would listen to it, and I would have my nephew sing it with me. You know, I wanted him to learn a language, even though we didn't understand it. I just wanted him to feel it. You know.
You see, that's good advice. That's the interpretation for this proverb, what you said, you know. Sometimes you have to feel things in order to learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
So music is included.
That is so true.
Yeah.
That is so true.
Yeah. Anyway, Lisa, let me move on to Lavender here. I would love to see you again. Join us tomorrow. We'll do this again tomorrow. I want to hear what Lavender also has to say about this proverb. Then I have a guest on YouTube. If you join us there, you'll be able to see her. And we will continue on with the conversation like that. So Lavender, you've been here with us, you know, over the last many days, but also particularly during this show, the whole hour. Just share with us your thoughts on the show and any comments in regards to the conversation with Lila.
Hi Simon, this is Lavender. I'm speaking from Seattle. My thoughts about the show from beginning of 2023, it's been intense, and we've had very powerful guest speakers. Like, it's such an intensive learning process. You feel like 1 hour is not enough, and you don't really have enough time to digest these things and put them into action. But you try to remember. Sometimes when I forget and I want to refer to something one of our speakers said, I go back to either our YouTube channel or go back to Clubhouse and re-listen. Lila, thank you so much for showing up today and just sharing your knowledge with us. It's not easy to fight for what you stand for. I didn't want to use the word fight, but stand firm for what you hold dear. And what you hold dear in many cases are your people. It's not easy. We find that many people who put themselves in this position are always getting in trouble, but you're looking at the bigger picture, and we are here to support you in any way to be louder and keep going. Today's proverb: a bad child who doesn't take advice. It's a bad child who doesn't take advice. I don't know about bad, but not taking advice lead to repercussions. You have to be ready for consequences when you don't listen. I do my best to listen to what other people have to say or feedback when it comes to work, family matters, friendships. I find it important to listen and follow my heart. So I hope we are always ready to deal with the consequences. The other thing I'd like to mention, and this is important to this room and to us as a team of One Vibe Africa and the team behind the production of this podcast, There's a lot of information and resources on the information section of this YouTube um, channel, and each day has resources under it. The apps we are using. People ask us, what apps are you using to produce your podcast? Those are all in there. Simon's book is on there, and a trip to Kenya. We have 2 trips to Kenya. The one in February 1st, and there's another one coming up in July 10th. So feel free to go on there and just get the information. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to myself, Simon, Stella, Cabs. We are such a big family. Thank you all so much for always making time to join us. I know the people I hold dearly. We've formed a huge family from this platform, and just know today and the days following that I appreciate you deeply. Thank you so much, Simon.
Excellent. Lavender is one of the people that takes notes before she talks. So she was just going through her notes, and I can't stop or slow her down. It's just beautiful to see and hear. Lila, I know you are short of time, but there are 2 people that I really want to give a chance here for you to listen to. There are people that have literally helped build this space. You probably know them. One is Victoria. Victoria, I've missed listening to your voice. How are you? Go ahead and say hi and share your perspectives on this proverb, and then we'll listen to Jay, who just joined us as well. Go ahead, Victoria.
Good morning, everyone. And Simon, I do miss you a little bit, just a little bit. Not a lot, but just a little bit. Sasa.
Poor. It's wonderful to have you back here,
No, it's the room. Just bear with me, please. It's been so long since I've been here. So there's a bit of joy and excitement that I just want to not necessarily go formally, but I just be personal for a second. So Simon, I did move from Boston to San Diego, so the time difference makes it a bit challenging to come to the shore. And also I had a change of things that I had to stay with myself before I could come up. Healing is done in private. It's not done in public. So I'm in a good place where now I'm able to share my energy again.
That's beautiful. I just love that you joined us, and I love that you're healing and you're at a good place. Being at a good place is a gift. So thank you for sharing the gift of your time with us today. I have a wonderful sister that I'm hosting here today. We are still continuing with this work, and we are making it even bigger, and so your energy is going to help propel it further. Go ahead. I think you have something else to say.
Yes, thank you. So, and to everybody else, Jaye, I remember you. I saw Silas, if I'm pronouncing your name right. I also remember you. And everybody who don't know me, my name is Victoria. I'm originally from Kenya. I live in San Diego now. I work for Mary Lynch. This space used to be the place that I came every morning to pour out my heart, to find solace, to connect with people from home. Someone speaks the same language. We come from Kenya. So this is this is a place I value more than any other room in Clubhouse. Also in my personal space, I love Proverbs. It's the one thing that I go to every time I have a decision to make, or I'm in a place of cognitive dissonance where I don't know exactly what to do. I always pull one of the Proverbs that I know to help me in making a decision, or to move forward, or not to do what I'm wanting to do. So besides just the room, Proverb itself, it's something that I absolutely value and adore. This one, I like it today. I don't know about the word bad, like Lavender said, but I'd also want to take the word child out of the proverb and speak to us as adults, and to simplify for myself and for you, to help you maybe understand what the proverb means from my perspective. There is a proverb that says, wise men learn from their mistakes, but the wiser men learn from the mistakes of others. So if you were to combine that and this one, then we can say somebody who doesn't take advice, they learn from their own mistakes. But should you have the ability to take somebody else's advice, you may avoid doing the same mistakes. And so for us as adults, can we remember that wise men learn from their own mistakes? We learn from experience. But what if we become wiser and learn from the mistakes of others? Then we won't be the bad child who doesn't take advice. We'll be the good child who grows up by learning from the mistakes of others and not from our own personal mistakes. And thanks for listening. Have a wonderful day. I'll be here shortly, but I'll start getting ready for work in about 10 to 15 minutes. So if I leave quietly, you'll have to pardon me for that. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
Excellent, thank you. Now the last speaker is going to be Jay. We are long past bringing back the microphone to you, Leela, so that you can wrap up the show for us. But listen, Jay, I just love that you take the time to join us almost every morning. I know it's early for you, and I just want you to know that I deeply appreciate it. Leela, there's an additional speaker who wants to comment on the show, especially because of the conversation we are having, and I just hate to skip him. His name is Malcolm Cash, and so I'll give you a chance to, Malcolm. I see that Leela is okay with us just taking a minute each so that we include everybody. So Jay, the floor is yours.
I just thank you so much, dear brother. I just want to quickly in that 1 minute say I am so thrilled to see you, Victoria, as well, in that red dress. And I'm really happy that things are a lot better in terms of whatever occurred or whatever was happening that required the healing. I'm just so happy that you reached that point where you were able to be with us today. And welcome to the Pacific Northwest. Having quickly said that, I just want to say that I also agree about the word bad when you're using with children, as I can see stubborn, hard-headed, difficult, challenging, but not bad. But I agree with Victoria and what she said. And I also think that, just sometimes it just takes time with some children to get them to understand that the direction that they're going is going to cause some more hardships than what's needed and what's necessary. That having been said, I think I've reached my 1 minute, and I'll turn it over to Malcolm if that's the next person that you want to speak.
That's right. And just a quick shout out to Tutaleni, who just joined us, another incredible leader and professor at one of the big universities here in the US, and the founder of the Namibia House. I just want to make sure I give you a shout out and recognition. And also MJ, I see you. And Milan and Shomari and Rocky, I see you and I value your presence. Go ahead, Malcolm, share with us your perspectives briefly.
Appreciation for the room. Been a minute since I've been here, but I remember this room. I like that you are calling through, the group is calling through the Proverbs and the wisdom tradition of Africa. On this clubhouse, we see so much discussion as one dimensional of the politics, the conflicts, and so I'm glad that you're rooted and anchored. When I was a child, I saw around me men who became addicted to alcohol. And I talked to my father about it, and he at one time been addicted and had broken the habit and caused a lot of havoc in my older siblings' lives because of it. And so he said to me, son, you can't get addicted to what you never start. And so I'm 58. And I've never tasted alcohol. I never used any drug because of what my father told me. He said, son, it's that first time. If you don't do the first one, you never have to worry about anything thereafter. So he transitioned 7 years ago, thank God for him. And that was some of the best advice he's ever given to me. I just had a brother pass 2 years ago because of sclerosis of the liver, because unfortunately he had not taken that advice. And so I miss him also. But yeah, so sometimes following the advice as a child of your parents can save your life. Flannery O'Connor, as a short story, said, "The life you save may be your own." And the choice that I made based on the advice of my father has saved and certainly propelled my life. So appreciate the time. Blessings to the room. This is Malcolm.
Thank you, Malcolm. I just appreciate the nuggets of wisdom you shared with us today, and I can't wait to see you again in the coming days. Now, Lila, I want you to just reflect on some of the things that our brothers and sisters shared with us today that stuck with you, and also take a moment and share with us how we can stay connected with you, how we can support your work. For those who are joining us now, I have been here hosting Lila Talks, who is an incredible leader, with Ethiopian roots, but based in DC, deeply involved in Virginia politics, advising, Fortune 500 companies, and really, bringing the issues of Africa to the global stage. And, today carving a little bit of time for us. Lila, go ahead.
Yeah, so first of all, I used to be that's how me and Simon met. I was very active on Clubhouse at one period. And so just hearing everyone come in, it kind of reminds me like, oh, maybe I need to dabble back because it is nice to have this sense of gathering. And Simon, his voice even, just so calming. It's like a meditative state. So anyways, it was nice to have everyone come in. And I don't know about you, but I definitely saw like a pattern. Like even this is an African proverb. A lot of people who are American from different places were like, yes, we have something very similar to that proverb. And I think when there's some core principles or values of just, seeking wisdom, that's kind of universal. And I believe his name is Ruzi. I really liked his comment about a bad child who doesn't take advice grows into a stubborn adult. So again, I agree with everyone else on using the word bad with child because they internalize that. But I understand the essence of what the proverb is trying to say, and as well as this gentleman. And I think there's a lot to be said there. So I think for those who are parents, think about how you communicate with your children and how you have that kind of, bilateral, relationship. And then also Malcolm's comment just now, I mean, that really sat with me. And that actually, no one gave me that advice, but that's also the reasons why I never dabbled in certain things because I was afraid of what that would look like, whether it's on TV and other things. And I think that more people need to, not just children, need to continuously seek learning and being aware. So that's my thought on the proverb. So my name is Galila, but I go by in social media I go by Lila Talks. It's spelled Lila, Lila Talks, Lila, Lila Talks. I have a YouTube channel. It is a lifestyle channel, so it's pretty much whatever I want to talk about. So it can be from fashion to travel to something very serious related to rape victims, human trafficking, and women advocacy, women entrepreneurship. So that's kind of a little bit of everything. So you can check me out there. All my social media handles are Lila Talks, Lila, Lila Talks. I'm very active on Instagram. I post like IG stories every day. If you want to reach out to me, whether you want to send me an email at info.lilatalks@gmail or just send me a DM. I think a lot of them unfortunately couldn't hear me during my talk, so you can just rewatch this on YouTube. I basically was describing some of the situations with displaced Ethiopians due to the war and other things in Ethiopia. So I went and visited an IDP camp. This is a camp of 30 people. A lot of them were women and children, and they just need a lot of help. And so the reason why I'm on this show is to build partnership and gathering. But anyone listening on YouTube, anyone listening on Clubhouse, if you say, you know what, I think this awareness about what's going on in Africa, particularly in Ethiopia, I want to share it. And I have resources, whether it's journalists, whether it's other podcasts, please do not be shy and reach out to me, just so we can kind of spread the awareness with other people so that these folks can get the help they need. And so the website and the group that I kind of created is called the Humanity Network for Ethiopians. And the website, if you want to know more about the stats and some of the things I shared in the organizations and the ways you can donate, whether it's food, clothing, etc., is Humanity, HUMANITY the letter 4, Ethiopia.com. And so I hope to stay in connection with everyone who listened in. Thank you.
Excellent. Lila, this has been amazing. This has been amazing. And it's been a long time coming. I think the first time I reached out to you that I really want to have a conversation with you was like a year, maybe and a half ago. At that time, I was still figuring out podcasting, you know. I was not even sure what I was doing. But now I'm so, I feel like I'm confident. I'm not so confident. And I know what I'm doing. That's part of why in the description to this video, we're actually now helping other people, you know, figure out podcasting. We are partnering with a lot of brands that build tools for podcasting. And so, you know, anybody who is interested, anybody who wants support from my team, let us know. You know, we've built a really strong team. Majority of our team members are in Kenya and Seattle. So our job is to learn and then really focus on sharing this knowledge within the diaspora, the African diaspora and back home, but also to bring on leaders like Lila who are literally, just doing the work. You know, it's so easy to just forget about what's going on in Africa and enjoy the great opportunities and the life that the United States has to offer. You know. But people like you are the ones that encourage me to continue showing up here every morning and to continue doing the work I do with One Vibe Africa, with Madaraka Festival. So I really, really appreciate you, Lila. And I think, do you have anything to say before we wrap up?
No, I just think people should continue to tune in and just find ways that you can seek wisdom, you know, with the proverb as well as, you know, receive it and give it. So it's really exciting. Hopefully I'll be back soon.
Excellent. Yeah, we'll definitely reach out and make sure you come back so that we continue on with the conversation. I feel that Ethiopia went through a lot in the last 3 years, and I would love to have you back so that we explore some, for example, the peace deal. You know, I feel like the peace deal went so quickly. I would love to go deeper and understand how did that happen. What can Burkina Faso, what can Mali, what can South Sudan learn from Ethiopia, you know, and that process, you know, and also, you know, for you also, there's so much that you do, and I feel like I was rushed through this interview, and I would just love to break down some of the, I feel like we should just have a conversation about Lila Talks, you know, one time, you know. Anyway, thank you, and to all our guests, Latanja, I see you, and Martin, you know, there's so many of you that I could not even give a shout out to. Thank you for being here. We are building this little village every Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. To 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 5 p.m. East African Time. You know, you can check what time it is in your time zone, but we are staying consistent and very, very persistent, you know, because nobody is going to do this for us, you know, uplifting African culture, sharing African proverbs in the way that we're doing is our job. You know, no one will do it for us. And so for me, I was very, very proud because my second born daughter woke up early, and instead of crying, she knew I was live. So she ran here and she was just listening in. You know, whenever I drive them to school, we are listening to the show. So they learn these proverbs from a very young age. So I really encourage you, if you have children in your lives, just turn on this show and let them listen and then have a conversation with them. So with that, this is the tail end of our time together, Lila. I'm just so grateful, and to our viewers, thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. You are listening to African Father in America podcast.